Today's video is a little bit different. I'm looking in a sense at the psychology of playing guitar, and specifically looking at something that I think a lot of us struggle with, and that is performance anxiety. That is a dreaded fear of playing when there's other people about. I don't just mean playing at a gig or playing in an open mic night or something like that. I mean playing when there's even the remote chance that someone might overhear you. For some people, that's enough to put us off playing altogether. I want to explore this a little. I want to look at why we feel that way, why we struggle with these things. More importantly, what can we do to develop our confidence? And that's partly one of the reasons that I've put this channel together. For me, accountability is a really important thing. I find it very helpful. So for example, I've lost a lot of weight over the last year. And for me to lose weight, one thing I need to do is to be accountable to at least someone, if not to lots of people. In my job as a tour guide, I travel throughout the Isle of Skye every day, and it has some fantastic cafes. And I'm used to going into these cafes and buying a coffee and at least one cake. And I know that if I went into one of these cafes and I was just having a bad day, it would be so easy for me to say, I'll have a coffee and a cake. However, I know if I was to go into one of these cafes and say, oh, I'm just going to have a coffee because I've stopped eating cakes, so I'm not having any more cakes this year. That level of accountability, it probably won't mean that if I went into the cafe, they would refuse to sell me cakes. They're not that cruel. But it would mean that I would feel too awkward to go in and order a cake. Just because of that accountability, that helps me when I'm having a weak day to stick to the plan. And I think it's the same with guitar. I think having the accountability of people knowing that I'm trying to improve in guitar and that I'm trying to get used to playing in front of others is enough accountability that I feel I've got to make an effort. I've got to do it. That's one of the reasons I've started this channel, so that all the people who watch this channel, both of you, at least can hold me accountable. Am I still practicing? Am I still trying to learn? Am I still trying to get used to playing in front of people? And they may never ask me that. They probably never will ask me that. But just knowing myself that other people know I'm trying to is enough to keep me going. And I think this kind of crippling anxiety when it comes to playing when others are around is a huge thing to a lot of beginner guitarists and a lot of more experienced guitarists. Now, another thing to bear in mind, I'm not saying that everyone needs to play in front of people. I've seen videos where people will say something like, well, if you're not going to play with people, what's the point? You know, and I don't agree with that. For some people, they're completely happy just playing on their own with no one else ever hearing them. And that's exactly what they want, and that gives them full satisfaction. And if that's you, then that is perfect. Enjoy it, make the most of it. However, for a lot of people, certainly like myself, I feel that I'm missing out by not being able to play along with people. And there's two situations that I feel in particular that I feel I'm missing out. One is just jamming with people, being able to sit down with friends, with family, and just pick up the guitar and say, hey, let's play this, and jamming together. I love to play along with songs on my phone. So the thought of being able to do that with other people and playing whatever songs we decide to play, I think is fantastic, but I just can't bring myself to do it. The other situation is music shops, guitar stores. I love the thought of being able to go into a guitar store and try out new guitars and new gear. There's so many guitars I've never set my hands on. I've never had a chance to play. And every time I go to a guitar shop, I love to look around, but I cannot bring myself to play. I just feel too nervous, can't do it, and I really feel that I'm missing out with that. So, what are some of the common causes of this performance anxiety when we're playing guitars? Well, one of them is previous bad experience. Um, there might be something from perhaps many years ago that's putting you off ever going out there and playing when there's other people around. When I was young, a long time ago in the dark ages, a lady moved to our little village who was a concert pianist, and she started to offer piano lessons. And my brother went to these lessons and picked up piano very, very well. And after a few weeks of this, I thought, well, I might go along. It'd be kind of fun to learn an instrument. I was maybe 8 or 9 years old at the time. And so I went along and I think I took 2 lessons. The first lesson, of course, we weren't playing songs or anything. It was simply finger exercises to develop dexterity and muscle memory and that kind of thing. And then I went home, and the next week I hadn't practiced. I arrived back and I went to do the exercises, and I struggled to do them. And this lady just said to me, "Oh, don't worry, we can't all be musical like your brother." And of course, that was the moment that I gave up any aspirations to try or to learn music. For years, I never went near a musical instrument because I just figured, well, if I'm not going to be musical, I obviously don't stand any chance of learning. And for a lot of us, maybe an experience like that is the thing that's put us off playing in front of other people. And then I think a lot of us are hindered in our attempts to play with others simply through lack of experience. We all know and we all fully agree with and understand the term, the more you do something, the better you get at it. We all know that that's true, and yet we forget to actually put it into practice. I know that if I only play guitar with people 3 times in a year, I'm going to make mistakes in all of these times. I'm going to be very nervous in all of these times. And when I look back for the 4th time I'm going to play with someone, then my collective memory of my past experience is one of failure. It's one of getting things wrong. It's one of making mistakes. It's embarrassing. If I was to play 50 times with people in the next year, then when I come to play my 51st time, yes, there'll be plenty of times I've messed things up. There'll be plenty of times I've been too embarrassed to play as well as I should have done. But overall, I'll have a memory of good experiences too. I'll have this memory of all the times it's been great to actually play, and I'll grow in it. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And then, of course, for some of us, it's a case of a simple inferiority complex. I mean, we look at other players and think they're so much better than us. How can I possibly play when they're around? And of course, we know that that's ridiculous. We know that it doesn't matter how good we get, there'll always be someone better. I had a conversation last year with my oldest son about playing, and I told him I could never play in front of him because he's so much better than me. And of course, he told me how ridiculous that was. And he reminded me of a friend of his that he would struggle to play in front of because that person's so much better than him. And then he told me about someone who that person was very afraid to play in front of because they are so much better than him. And it just goes up and up and up. And if you bring it to its logical conclusions, what we're in effect saying is that I will never play along with anyone else or in front of anyone else until I am literally the best guitarist in the entire world, which is crazy. Another reason people struggle with playing in front of others can simply be the physical effects of the anxiety that it induces. I really enjoy singing. I'm not too bad at singing either, but I really struggle to sing in front of people. If I'm singing on my own and I'm 100% sure that there's no one around, I can belt it out and really enjoy it and hold a decent tune. The moment I think there's even the remotest chance that someone might pass by, that's it. My throat constricts My voice just doesn't go properly. I can't reach the notes. My heart's beating hard, all of this. And it's exactly the same now when I play the guitar. If I'm playing on my own and I know there's absolutely no chance whatsoever that someone will overhear me, I have so much more freedom in playing. My fingers just seem to work. I'm not saying I always get it right, but I don't care. And because I don't care, I play much more naturally and I'm more open to experimenting and trying playing different things. The moment I know there's even a remote chance that someone could be passing by or that someone could hear me, and it doesn't matter if this is a professional guitarist hearing me or a YouTuber or a guitar teacher who I think is going to judge me. No, I mean just my own family or friends or anyone, neighbors, people I'll never see again in my life passing by. Instantly, I can't play. My fingers seize up. They feel so much stiffer. Everything goes to pot simply because of the physical sensations brought on by my anxiety. Not because it's just mentally there, but because that mental fixation with potential failure is causing my fingers to act differently, to feel differently, to seize up. It's causing my heart to beat faster. It's causing me to break out into a cold sweat. Another thing that can put a lot of people off playing in front of others is pride masquerading as humility. You know the kind of thing. We say, oh no, I can't really play well, I can't really play well, so we don't play. And really what we're thinking is, when I can play this perfectly and everyone can really appreciate it and will really rave about how good I am, then I'll play in front of people. We tell ourselves it's humility, but really it's just pride. We don't want anyone thinking, oh, you could have done better. We want to wait until we're perfected. I think realistically, if we just recognize that we'll never be the perfect players, then it'll make it much easier to just go ahead and play and not worry about what people think. So I've been trying to think through, what can I do proactively to try and grow in my confidence in playing with other people around. And I've decided to do a review series with a difference. I am going to review music shops. I'm going to review guitar stores. I'm not going to judge them on whether they have good stock in, how their prices are compared to other places, although I'll mention these things, of course. I'm going to judge them on what the experience was like as a new guitarist, as a fearful guitarist, as someone who has this crippling performance anxiety going to their shop. Did I feel welcomed? Did I feel judged? Did I feel laughed at? I watched a video recently with Mary Spender. She made a plea to people who work in guitar stores. She said, when someone comes in to try a guitar and you take it off the wall to hand it to them, please don't play on that guitar before you hand it over. So often when someone goes to take a guitar for someone, they'll play some incredible piece of virtuoso guitar work before they hand it over. And she talked about how unhelpful that is. And the moment they play that, it might be very impressive, but straight away we think, oh, what's the point in me playing in front of them? I'll feel so embarrassed. They're so much better than me. And so she was pleading with people not to do that. And that's the kind of thing I'm going to be looking for when I go to the music shop. Are the people welcoming, despite whatever level of ability I have as a customer? Are they doing everything they can to make me feel comfortable, to make me feel that I can pick up the guitar and play anything and they'll let me do it? I'm sure we've all heard horror stories like the one Phil McKnight recites on his channel, where he talks of a friend of his who has a lot of money and who loves guitars and everything about them, but isn't a particularly seasoned player. And he went into a store to buy a brand new Gibson that was going to cost several £1,000s or several $1,000s. And he sat down to play it, and the attendant who had handed it to him went up to him after a couple of minutes and said, I'll take the guitar off you because I think what you really need is an Epiphone. And for those who don't know, that's a cheap version of a Gibson. And this poor guy went out of there extremely discouraged, probably never wanting to visit a guitar store again in his life, and obviously didn't buy the guitar. Just in those few seconds, that store worker managed to completely destroy someone's confidence and enthusiasm. So I am going to go into all of these shops. I have quite a bit of travel coming up, and I'm going to go into some large and some small guitar stores and just simply ask them if I can try something, and then let you know about the experience. And along the way, I'm going to try and work out and pick up tips on how we who suffer from this performance anxiety can manage those situations. And if you have any tips, please put them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear any advice that you might have. So please do tell me, how do you handle it? How do you handle playing in those situations? So for example, one of the things I've heard very recently on a YouTube channel, and I can't remember which one it is, so apologies to whoever said it, is a very obvious piece of advice, but it's a great piece of advice. Don't just go into the store with an empty mind and sit down and think, well, what will I play? Prepare something. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got a trip coming up to Dundee next week. I'll visit at least one guitar store. And in the week leading up to then, I'm going to pick a couple of short pieces, work out how to play them, practice them, and go in with them in mind and see if I can get a shot of a guitar. One worry I have is that I feel very uncomfortable asking to try a guitar unless I am fully planning to buy that guitar and fully planning to buy it in that store on that day. What do you think? Is it okay to go into a guitar store and try stuff even with no real intention of buying it? Then if you have any humorous or even devastating stories of bad experiences or good experiences in playing in a guitar store and how people have reacted to it. Have you been laughed at playing at a guitar store? Have you been told that you need a cheaper, worse guitar because you're not good enough to play what you've asked to test? My hope is that by the end of this year, I would comfortably sit and jam with anyone. I would comfortably walk into any guitar store and pick up and try any guitar if I got the chance to. And I know it's going to be a tricky journey. I know it's going to be a very embarrassing journey. But I'm willing to take that journey. And I'm hoping that if you struggle like me to play when there's people around, then you'll consider coming with me on the journey and hopefully learning from and benefiting from my struggles along the way.